Have you ever set a big goal, exciting goal, only to feel completely let down when the momentum didn't last? You felt stuck, maybe even a little embarrassed. Like, why isn't this working? I care so much. Why don't the results match? I know that feeling. I was there. I set a goal to reach 1,000 podcast downloads in 30 days. And at first, I felt completely overwhelmed and low-key discouraged. But then something shifted. I reconnected to my why. I learned the rules of the game of podcasting. I made it stupid easy for people to support me, and I didn't just hit my goal. I crushed it. 2,400 downloads. And the craziest part, that number wasn't the finish line. It lit me up, you guys. It launched me. In this episode, I'll walk you through exactly what changed from stuck to strategic, from scattered to unstoppable, and how you can do the same. Because we are limitless. You don't have to wait until you feel ready. You don't have to burn out to prove it. The version of you you're becoming, she's already in motion. Let's catch up to her. This is episode 73. You are limitless. How I finally got unstuck, built real momentum, and how you can too. Welcome to Healing with Haley. I'm your coach, Haley Kirk. On this podcast, we dive into ways to heal, embrace, and truly love our lives. Here's my belief. So much of our suffering comes from what we believe. I'm here to help you understand your mind and question those thoughts to start your healing journey. Ready to get started? Let's go. Welcome, you guys. Oh my goodness. So I am recording this podcast at like 2 a.m. Yucky. But I love a cute little rug that I bought recently. It's made out of real sheepskin and it's on my feet as we speak to help me feel some pleasure as I bust this podcast out, because I want to show you guys what is possible for you. Okay. So remember how earlier this month I was telling you how I'm going to be publishing a bunch of podcast episodes to meet this goal of hitting 1,000 downloads. And the reason I hit it was so inspiring, but I want to backtrack a little bit. I set this goal because I wanted to take it to the next level, right? I have been podcasting now for almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in December. And I really want to always continue to grow. And if I notice myself kind of start to plateau, that's when I kind of crank up the heat and bring it. So try something new, try something different. And I honestly had to revisit my why, because when I started the podcast goal of 1,000 downloads in 30 days, it wasn't picking up as much as I wanted. And so I had to get strategic and reach out to my networks and try everything I could to really hit that goal. And I had to revisit my why, because when you try to create a movement or are asking something of someone, you must be aligned with your why. Okay? Why do I podcast? I podcast because I feel like my life's experience of going through a lot of hard times, but then healing and not letting those hard times define me, is a message everyone, I think, would benefit hearing from. I don't think we have to suffer in this life more than the suffering that will happen, right? We're going to lose loved ones. We're going to experience loss and suffering and pain and grief. That's kind of part of the deal, right? Whatever your belief systems are, we just can't negate that at all. It's going to happen, okay? So we know that's going to happen. So how can we empower ourselves, at least internally, to live in this peaceful, accepting, loving state and keep things going forward. So that's my why. And I really want to spread the message of healing and how much it can improve your life for the better. And what's crazy is when you do it, it trickles into the lives of your loved ones and your friends and your family, your network, right? So I had a crazy epiphany as I was doing the podcast. And, I found out this goal. I found out I had this addiction to busyness, and I was in this hypervigilance mode. And it was crazy how the podcast it was picking up so much momentum. And I was getting like emails weekly, like tons of emails weekly asking me to interview these people. They kind of had these like social media agents or marketing agents reaching out to me on their behalf. And some of them individually, it was really ambitious. I love it. And I love the ambition. And it's this funny part of me that's like, I want to, inspire them and reward their positive behavior in some weird way by accepting. And there was this part of me that's like, if I don't accept this, then I'm not being grateful, or I'm being ungrateful. And so that's a limiting belief system that I've learned that I have about being ungrateful, which isn't true. You can say no and still be grateful. So I had I had to reach out to 5 people, like 5 or 6 people after I had this breakthrough of, wow, I'm operating in this hypervigilant state. I'm saying yes when my body wants to say no. And also it's just not aligning with my vision right now, because I was noticing this trend where I would spend an hour and a half doing the episode and, interviewing, and, more time coordinating schedules. And sometimes they want to meet with you a little bit and chat. So there's that time and energy before the interview, during the interview, after the interview. And how I do it is I edit the podcast. That takes even a little more time than the duration of the podcast, which is usually like an hour, hour and a half, sometimes more. And then there's the marketing piece. So there's the piece of inviting them to collaborate, creating descriptions and graphics and all those things. And I like to do those things because that's the type of podcaster that I am, right? Not because they asked me to, but that's how I do my podcast. And so like I was putting so much time into their interview. And when I do an interview, I want mutual benefit, right? I want, it's 2 times the work, and I wasn't receiving more downloads for like, and my goal is to get more downloads to eventually monetize, to eventually, grow. And when you're able to monetize, you're able to reach a bigger audience, and that helps you to, spread my message of healing, which is what my why is. So I had this night where I was emailing people and just, apologizing, but saying like, I have to cancel our interview. I do apologize. And, this is why. It has nothing to do with you. And, I could see myself interviewing these people in the future. I can't give them a date, but I had to let them know. I had to redirect back to my why and what really was inspiring me to do podcasting. Because I felt so much. I had 9 episodes in queue to be edited and published. And I was just feeling the weight. I was feeling very drowned by the work I was putting onto myself. And so I was like, nope, I'm sending emails, I'm canceling the podcast episode interviews, and no, we're starting fresh. And so I did a bunch of research. I was researching my hosting site, which is Buzzsprout. I was researching what it takes to monetize. I was researching what what their criteria was. And one of their criteria was to have 1,000 downloads in 30 days. And I was like, cool. What counts as a download? What are the rules of the game, right? This is such a good lesson, you guys. I have to let you know, any goal you have, ask yourself, what are the rules of the game? Yeah, there's a really cool book my friend turned me on to. She visited me this weekend for her birthday, and I'm like so in the aftermath of being rejuvenated and fulfilled by that friendship. It felt so good. But she's so wise, and she gave me this book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. It is a game changer. It's all about kind of finance, but you can honestly apply these skills to other aspects of your life. And you're kind of asking yourself, like, what are the rules? Like, what are my limiting belief systems about this life, right? And about money, about podcasting, about all the things you're trying to accomplish. And so I figured out what it counts to take a download. I'm like, does someone have to listen to the whole episode, or do they just click it? Do they have to hit download? And what are the most popular podcasting feeds? And it's Spotify and Apple Music, or I'm sorry, Apple Podcasts. And then YouTube's kind of coming in a close third. So I was like, hey, and it was kind of cool to test out the waters when I would send. I had a generic message, but I love to kind of personalize it, right? So I was like, hey, I'm going to reach out to my network and I'm going to ask them to help me. Okay. So I found out the research, and it's just a click, right? Just clicking on the episode counts as a download. So I was like, cool. I had at that time 71 episodes available for them to click on. And I literally had ChatGPT help me and say in a very concise way, hey, here's my why, right? Here's the what, here's the why, here's how you can help me. Okay. So I said, hey, I don't know, I'm just throwing out a generic name, Alexa. Hey, Alexa, it's so good to hear from you. Love you, miss you. Hey, I have a favor. Can you help me with a goal to hit 1,000 downloads? All you have to do, the reason I'm doing this is because I want to reach a bigger audience to spread the message of healing. And here's how you can help me get there. All you have to do is click these links and click play. That's all you have to do. And just once I hit play, skip to the next episode and just do that 71 times. Okay. So I did that. And then once they kind of agreed to it, then I sent my follow-up message, which was, oh my God, you're amazing. Thank you so much for helping me. This means so much to me. You have no idea. Here's the links. And then also, this is the other key, having a little bit of urgency. And I did, right? That was a genuine urgency. I had 30 days, but maybe there's not much of a time frame for you, but kind of set a time frame, right? And I get a little hesitant putting time on goals because they can be flexible, right? But at least a kind of soft, hard deadline of when you're trying to accomplish said goal. That creates a sense of urgency for people. So they're kind of like, oh, I kind of need to do this right away, right? To help her out. So once I did that, I was sending, chunks of messages to friends from different communities, right? So I'd reach out to my community of mom friends. I'd reach out to my community of gym, my dance community. And I tried to think of like my, any religious communities I had, my dance, other like my business community. So I've been trying to do it that way. So it has been so exciting. I even reached out to you guys, my listeners, my podcast community, asking you to help me with this goal, and just giving you guys a heads up, right? And asking to share. So this is how I was able to reach this goal. It was insane. It was such a breakthrough moment. I, today looked at my downloads and it said 2,400 downloads. Wow. It was so beautiful. And it was this word, limitless. I can do it. I can do it. It was this moment of, I got this. I really can do this. Like, and it was fun, right? It was so fun. It was fun to set this goal and to hit it. And also, you want to know the other fun part was people were cheering me on. Okay. People were like, I got you. There was so much love in this experience. And it also made me really value and treasure my friendships more and have a desire to build them even more and find ways I can support them. I think that's what I would like to do, actually. Writing that down. Send thank you notes, like say thank you voice messages to everyone that agreed to help me. And they would I got you. I'm gonna send this to my friends. I'm gonna have my partner do it, my friend do it, my roommate do it. Just this outpour of I got you. And it felt so good. And of course there's gonna be those people that are not gonna respond, right? Or they'll just like heart emoji your message, right? And here's the thing, I have a little bit of drama about that and I want to clean it up. It's possible that they totally did it, right? And they're just busy or they just don't have the energy to kind of do a full message, yeah? It's possible. And that's okay. I'm not focused on those people, right? Why would I focus on people who don't want to support me when there's such an outpour of people who are supporting me? Yeah, where focus goes, energy flows. Where focus goes, energy flows. Guys, focus on what you can control. Yeah. And I'm I'm gonna pour energy into people who pour energy into me. Why would I focus on the people who didn't respond to my request, right? My ask. And here's the thing, I'm not saying to, if someone says no, here's what's cool. When someone says no, take that as an opportunity. So why did they say no? Like, I'm just curious, like, what is it about my request? Or sometimes they'll say no because, no because I had a friend say no because right now, at first, oh, this is a good point to do. At first, I was sending a big message, asking people to share it on their stories or on their platforms. And that's a big ask. That's a big ask because what I'm asking for is them to kind of advertise for me. Yeah. There's so much sensitivity and preferences to people sharing things on social media. They're trying to, to portray a version of them. And that's fine, right? Like that's cool, actually. I think it's kind of nice. You can like kind of be whoever you want to be. I'm all about creation. However, I noticed a lot of resistance to that request. Yeah. So make your requests easy or kind of adjust, be very flexible with your approach to a goal. Yeah. So I changed my approach. At first, my message was, hey, can you share this on your platforms? Can you share this with your friends and your network? Not a lot of agreements. I was like, hey, how can I make this like stupid easy? And then that's when I was doing that research of like, okay, what counts as a download? How can I make this just like minimal effort, but still impactful? And that's how I got that. Okay, just click, go to the next episode, click, go to the next episode. Which in honest, I can see kind of the pros and cons of that, but here's the thing, right? Like there's a strategy, right? And eventually I'm going to build my loyal listeners, right? Which you guys are already, but it's so interesting to find out the strategy behind accomplishing a goal, right? Because there's like mini goals meso goals, macro goals, right? And so this is helping me with a mini, like the mini or micro goal. And then it's going to help me eventually get to my macro goal. Okay. So I want to share this quick message of who can do it, whatever your goal is. I'm telling you, whether it's in your romantic relationships, you can find that person, right? That's still on my goal list, right? Is to find my person. And there's only so much you can control, right? There's only so much you can control. I can't be the one to click the episodes. I can't be the one to do all those things, but I can invite people, right? I can share my message. That I can control. I a lot of us have genetic, hormonal, different bodies, right? And our bodies react to foods differently. And but there's things we can control. We can control our calorie intake. We can control the quality of the foods that we eat. We can control the environment to some degree. Our own environment via air purifiers, dehumidifiers, plants. There's ways we can clean up our environments. Having clean, whole cleaning products without lots of chemicals, right? There's so many things we can do that's within our control to improve our health, to improve our finances, to improve our relationships, to improve our bodies, our spirit, our mind. Like there's so much that we are capable of doing. And what's always stopping us is our beliefs and what we're focusing on, right? If I had focused on all the people who didn't respond to me, or if I had focused on, for a time, I was only at like 400 downloads for a couple, like a week or two. And I was like, man, like, can I really get to 1,000? Like, oh my God, that just seems like 600 more downloads. Like, that just seems like so much. And I was like, no, I'm gonna reach out to my networks, right? Like, what can I do? What can I do? Who can help me? Oh, my friends and family. Like, yes, they can help me. That's an easy. How can I make this really easy for them? So that was the thought process there. Like, there are things you can do, and use ChatGPT, everyone. I'm telling you, it really helps you if you say, hey, I have this goal. Here's kind of been my setbacks. Here's been my weak points. Like, what am I not saying? What are my blind spots? And how can I make this work for me? Can you give me a 30-day plan? Right? I mean, man, there are so many cool ways. You can even ask it what questions to ask it, right? Like, I have this goal. What questions should I be asking you to help me accomplish this goal? Like, it's insane. I mean, get creative with your questions with ChatGPT and really let it help you. You don't have to manipulate people to support you. You just have to be clear. And I really learned this from Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why. And manipulation, it was really interesting how I was using the word. Like, anytime we say, oh, free shipping, or get $10 off your order, or anything like that, that's a manipulative tactic. It works, and it works for a time period, but what we want, and he talks about companies like Apple, is he was able to deliver the why so well, and create this feeling inside its customers of like, oh, like, yeah, this is me. I'm an Apple person, right? Like, so many people have an identity associated to the product. Genius marketing. And he talked about Harley Davidson, like, people put tattoos on their bodies of their insignia. Like, it's amazing, right? And there was so many shifts I had to make to accomplish this goal, right? Like, I had to believe, no, people want to help me. No, like, my friends, yeah, I'm just gonna see. I'm just gonna see what's possible. That was a big one. I just want to see, like, how can I make this happen? and it's kind of fun when you ask yourself a question like that, your brain starts turning and solving the problem. And I showed people how to say yes. Isn't that so cool? Like I showed people and I made it easy for them to say yes. And that's leadership. I stopped waiting for my podcast to just grow on its own, and I started guiding people to the podcast. And what's cool is a lot of people that were, just helping me click through it. They were like, you know what? Actually, this podcast, I actually stayed and listened to it. And it meant so much to me. And here's my life's experience, and I'm going through this situation, and it's really helped me through this part of my life. And I'm like, this is the point. This is the point. So I feel so good. I feel activated. I feel like it was a cataclysmic event for me to set this goal. I want to invest in more podcast equipment. I want to invest in the process and learning. And I want to, I'm connecting with podcast communities, and there's lots of free resources like Podfest that I'm planning to go to, and just connecting and growing in the podcast industry. And I really look up to Mel Robbins. I think she is someone who's so inspiring, and I love how she thinks. I love how she speaks. I love how she relates to the listener. Like when I'm listening to her podcast, I'm like, dang, I feel really heard and felt and cared for, and I want to portray that to my listeners, to you guys, my amazing audience. And it's not in a way to copy her, but to embody the leader I know I am. And the other big shift I had is realizing that goals pull us into the next version of ourselves. It's interesting how much, if this was another huge breakthrough, right? You're not fantasizing when you have a goal, right? When you have a goal, it's so important to be like crystal clear. Like imagine that version of you in that moment where you hit the 1,000 podcast downloads, or hit that goal weight, or finally passed your income level, right? Or the sales you were trying to achieve. Whatever your goal is, be that person now, energetically, mentally. And it's not a fantasy. It's not a fantasy. What it is a detailed belief in your future. It's faith, right? It's not fantasy, it's faith. And you don't need to rush it. That's what my mistake was in the past. I've done this so many times before, where I rush a goal. I rush a goal because I'm trying to be that person. I'm trying to prove I'm that person through that goal. There's no proving here. When we're after a goal, we're not trying to prove who we are. We already know and embody who we are. We're on the stage, right? And we're just showing what the actions are of us being that person. Act as if it's already done, because belief makes it real. Anything is possible. I really can do anything I set my mind to. I can be the next Mel Robbins if I keep putting in the grind, the work. I can still continue to do it, not in urgency, but in purpose and drive. Organized, strategic, relaxed, but empowered movement forward. That was an excerpt from a little journal entry I did. And I want this anchoring statement to sit with you guys. You can do anything you set your mind to. not through burnout, not through chaos, but through grounded drive, sacred strategy, and unwavering belief. You are built and building this from purpose, not pressure, from flow, not fear. And you are becoming the kind of woman who leads with clarity and speaks with fire and moves with empowered intention. Whoever your role model is, you don't need to be that person because you are the first you. I'm the first me. Repeat that with me. I'm the first me. I can do anything I set my mind to. My friends, thank you for joining me on this episode. I hope that you feel the fire inside of you to act as if it's already done. Believe it. Have that faith that you can do it. And let me just leave you with one last thing. If you don't hit your deadline, totally fine, right? If I had hit 900 episode downloads, right? That's pretty amazing, right? That is amazing because I still hit more than I have in 30 days. Even at that 400 mark, I was like 460, whatever, podcasts when I was at 2 weeks into my goal. That was more podcast downloads than I had done in 30 days in the past 2 years, almost 2 years. That's still super cool, right? That's growth. And give yourself the grace because setting a goal is vulnerable, requires a lot out of you, okay? And it's okay if you don't meet your goal. Just recalibrate. Okay, maybe that was a little bit too big. And I'll leave you with one last story. Sarah Blakely tells this story about how to set goals and the power of setting a goal really high, actually. So she was with a bunch of people who were trying to do this experience where they were all like leaders and CEOs and they were on this ledge, okay, and a helicopter was hovering over them and there was someone on a rope and harnessed and hanging from the helicopter. And it was all safe, right? It was all safe, but they had to take that leap. They had to take that leap and grab onto the person dangling from the helicopter. And I'll try to link this in the podcast episode description so you guys can kind of visualize what I'm saying. So everyone's in their gear. It's all safe, right? Even if they leap out of this ledge, they'll be safe. But there's still that like fear, right? That protective fear part that's in us, which is amazing, of taking that leap of faith, right? So everyone in her group aimed for him, right? For the guy dangling. They aimed for him. What Sarah did is she was like, I'm gonna aim above him, just like way higher. I'm just gonna try to jump higher than him so that gives me some leeway in case I mess up or don't really aim high enough. And she was the only one in her group that was able to actually grab him and have him rescue her, I guess was the scenario, was to be rescued from a ledge. So impactful, that story, because we want to aim high. Why? Because it really helps us meet the mark, right? It helps us to meet the goal. And I did aim high. I had the 1,000 download goal, but in my head, I was like, I want to surpass it. I want to try to aim for like 1,500 or something like that, like just a little above it, just so I can meet it. And then I freaking killed it. I got 2,400 downloads. So I leave this with you with love, with compassion, with empathy, with hopefully some knowledge, some new intakes, some new depth to add to your life and make it the best possible. And I really feel that there's so much healing that comes when we strive for goals. I feel like when we have this sense of purpose and we have this why, it is healing. It heals our bodies, heals our traumas, and heals our minds. Thank you for tuning in. Have an amazing day. All right, before you go, I need you to hear this. You don't need to keep white knuckling your way through life. You don't need to figure it out on your own. You deserve support. You deserve strategy. You deserve to feel like yourself again. And that's exactly why I'm offering you a complimentary free 30-minute coaching session. No strings, no pressure, just real conversation, real breakthroughs, and a real chance to feel lighter, clearer, and way more in control. If you've been listening and nodding your head thinking, yes, that's me, then this is the moment to stop thinking and start doing. Click the link in the show notes and schedule your free session right now. Right now, not later, not when you have time, right this moment, because you're worth showing up for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram at healing_with_Haley. I am here for you, but don't overthink it. What you're going to do in this free session is we're going to unpack any negative belief systems, build momentum with clear strategies, leave you feeling lighter, calmer, more confident, more grounded. These are the emotions you're going to feel after a session with me. Don't overthink it. The life you want starts with one decision. This could be the one thing that changes everything for you this year. Let's do this.